Hello and welcome to another episode of Alan Revises. This will be the first one involving a new screenplay that we're going to revise as we go. See if I can't punch it up a little and make it fit in all the right places. I'll tell you a little bit about the process and how we go about it, and we'll move from there. It is called The Injustice Club, and it's a comic comedy. It's about superheroes. So there's that, as superheroes being popular right now anyway. I'm sure that'll fade eventually, but for right now, it's very popular. And this is a comedy, so a lot of the drama happens to have the edges rounded off, so it's a little safer. But still, there will be moments, I hope, of worry and fear, and then fun. All right, so we're gonna fade in. We start with credits, thumbnail background of the Altman and the RT universe. If it sounds like that this is a bit of fan fiction, was based on a bit of fan fiction that I wrote previously, I deny all knowledge of that. The CEO bathroom, day. The cold hard eyes of Tex Tudor, criminal mastermind, as bald as Oklahoma and twice as handsome, and counterpart to the world's mightiest immigrant, stares out at the camera. We pull back to take in his well-tailored physique. I have to start somewhere, and here we go. Tex steals his fingers tips as if he were confident the whole world were watching and approving. Gentlemen, I have brought you together for one purpose, to destroy the Altman. We pull back further. Tex is looking into a mirror amid an elegant bathroom where mere gold is not enough. He is alone except for his reflection. He grows displeased at his mirror image and unsteeples his fingers. He tilts his head back slightly, flares his nostrils, then reaches out for something off screen. The whirring sound of a trimmer is heard. Now, as far as starts go, I like this. Insofar as there's a lot of detail here, but I'm setting the stage for whatever reader will understand that Tex Tudor is a villain. He is going to destroy the Altman, whoever that is, and he's good looking. He's well tailored. He's everything you want a villain to be in a movie, to be honest. In some cases, and this goes back to like the movie Die Hard, for example, where they really did a good job with the villains. They made them appealing visually. So we have we start here, and we understand that just for all of his foils, he is still human, because he's got to trim his nose hairs. There we go. Interior, Tex Tudor's office. The extravagantly appointed office, replete with artifacts and memorabilia, is but window dressing to Fidelia, a woman at the peak of her bodyguard of career and ability. Fidelia leans between a cased samurai helm and an illuminated manuscript upon a lectern, waiting patiently. She perks up, cups a hand to her ear to listen to the receiver she wears. She frowns, stands, and adjusts a weapon holstered and hidden beneath her blazer. The bathroom door opens. Again, this is a lot of detail, but I'm setting the stage for what is arguably the second most important character, because it's a Tex and Fidelia story. It's about their relationship and how they get through day to day, and moreover, I need everyone to know who she is. She is a bodyguard, and even though I say she's at the peak of her bodyguard career and ability, and that sounds like putting on the nose and telling rather than not showing, I need the reader to understand this, and then I show it. Tex strides out, ready to take on the world. Fidelia falls in beside him, step for step. The first guest is here, Mr. Tudor. Tex pauses to sling on a jacket to match the rest of his flawless suit. Fidelia helps him fit it just right. Thank you, Fidelia. Who won the betting pool for the initial arrival? For the initial rather than first. Sure, we'll go with that. Amid the grandeur of a conference room that costs more than a nice house in a nice town, an empty water glass, a stapler, a metallic cube from Atlantis that glows and hums with power, and a pencil sharpener arc up and down through the air in a juggled sequence. Arcs through the air in a juggled sequence. We understand juggled means up and down. This is no space. I just want space. Okay. Yardley Prynne, a modern harlequin clad in comfortable red and black, juggles the disparate items absently while sitting with her feet up on the central oak table. She blows a bubble of gum as one bare foot prepares to add a gold gilt pen to the mix. Do you know who she is? Yes, she's a little interesting. And she's a little dexterous. Tex hesitates ever so briefly at the threshold before he strides inside, trailed by Fidelia. Yardley pops the bubble and grins as she sees him. Hey, Tex, Miss Prynne. Again, we're setting names, so now we know who everybody is. Tex Tudor, Miss Prynne, and she says, Yardley Prynne. Yardley, you should call me Yardley if we're gonna be friends. The gold gilt pen is added to Yardley's juggle. Tex accedes to Yardley's point. The Atlantic cube comes up and his eyes widen. Its tune warbles slightly. Tex tries to snatch the humming metallic cube from its zenith, but the item, but instead the item instead fumbles, and the item tumbles across the floor. As the cube halts, it gives off a crackle of static and a flash of harsh, sinister yellow light. Yardley Prynne says, "Hey." Tex tooted, "That is a communication device, not a toy." Well, everything's a toy if you've got imagination. He peers around Tex. "Hey, Fidelia." Fidelia does not respond. Yardley spins in her seat to track Tex as the bald mastermind retrieves the cube and sets it before an empty chair. He couldn't make it? Yeah, Mr. Ray's been detained, so here I am, Yardley Prynne, ready and able. So again, we've set 3 main characters, and there's sort of the relationships between them, where Tex confides in Fidelia. Fidelia is utterly loyal and competent. Yardley is... She wants to think she's like buddy-buddy with Tex, sort of, but she also wants to acknowledge that Fidelia exists, and that will be important later. Yardley blows a bubble with her gum as she spins about. Her eyes are a doorway into madness that comes only once and usually doesn't stay long enough to get the t-shirt. Tex tutor, "I'd prefer him." "Me too. He makes me laugh." Fidelia cups a hasty hand to the receiver in her ear. She opens her mouth to speak. The air vibrates. Red lightning crackles about the room. Nothing briefly. Flowing in and out of doorways. Flowing in and out of doorways until a figure in black resolves itself. Swift, his features hidden behind a hideous mask, regards the 3. His gaze lingers on Fidelia as that woman now holds slips a lethal-looking pistol from a jacket holster. Yardley Prynne, "Ooh, pretty." Tex gestures Fidelia to put away the weapon. Swift, "I am here, tutor. I am Swift." Yardley Prynne, "And I'm Yardley. Pleased to meet you." Swift shifts his mask features slightly to regard Yardley. Swift turns to Tex, then turns to Dex. Then turns to Tex. Eyes slits open in Swift's mask so they can stare incredulously over at the mastermind. Tex tutor, to Swift, mostly. "I understand your concerns, but Yardley represents a potent counterpoint to a certain individual of the Freedom Council." Yardley Prynne, inserting with a strange voice, "The Moose Man." Tex tutor continued, "As do you. As do we all." Tex likes that. Fidelia cups a hand to her ear, then looks to Tex. "Another arrival, sir." She says, "Security station. A leather handbag that could buy half a car is plopped down atop a security scanner by the elegant and powerful hands of Felina, a woman who can and will kill for her sport." Again, I'm telling you exactly who she is, so that everything else will make sense of what follows. She saunters towards the security station, oozing vigor and confidence. The burly security guards look her over. One of them readies a scanning rod. Felina, annoyed. "I am wearing jewelry whose origins are scattered across several millennia, and no, I will not remove any of it." Security officer, "You should know, ma'am, that you cost me the betting pool." Felina's eyes flash into animal irises. The beating she delivers to the guards is swift and harsh, ending just as her handbag emerges from the other side of the scanner. She picks up her handbag with a delicate whisk of sheathing claws and walks away, leaving bleeding men in her wake. "Hello and welcome to Felina." There you go. Interior conference room. Felina pushes her way through the doors and idly rubs dried blood from her fingertips. Her feral aspect recedes and humanity, such as it is, returns. Fidelia moves ever so slightly to protect Tex. "I'm going to have a problem with Felina and Fidelia, aren't I?" Okay, that's something for right now. I need something that says cat. Something that says cat. So Felina is I don't know. Felina, what is it? Linksa? Linksa? Linksa. There we go. Bam. Changing the name. There we go. Linksa now, so that we don't have uh, right over. We don't get the two confused, and because that's one of the easy things you can do is not have characters named with the same starting letter or having a close association. Tim and Tam, bad idea, unless they're twins and you just refer to them as a unit. That's fine. So, text tutor to Linuxa. Explain, Linuxa, your security here is a joke, and I treated it accordingly. Swift gives a chuckle at that. Linuxa turns and sees the man in his full costume. This pleases her. Linuxa, well, at least I know I'm in the right place. Yardley Prynne. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Linuxa brightens up as Yardley spins about in a chair to face her. Yardley, what a pleasant surprise. The two women meet and exchange a friendly hug. Yardley Prynne, I had the day off. Tex glances at Fidelia, but his bodyguard can only shrug at the obvious friendship the women share. Yardley and Link's apart. Did I miss anything? Some juggling in a light show. Link's to Tex Tutor. Did I miss anything, Mr. Tudor? We are still waiting on two more. Link's who? Everyone wants to know. Tex Tutor. For now, take your ease and relax, if you can. Glances at Swift. Linksa, a moment. Tex and Linksa head for the door to Tex's office with Fidelia in tow, leaving Yardley and Swift behind. Yardley Prynne, to Swift, regards his costume. Doesn't that itch? I mean, it looks like it itch. Do you use talcum powder? Swift glares at her, pointedly saying nothing. Yardley Prynne, because you shouldn't. If you suck it in, then your lungs go, she makes a horrible noises, and maybe even more horrible noises, or interior, Tex Tutor's office. The horrible sounds of Yardley's fake suffocation cease as Fidelia crosses the doorway, the threshold. As Fidelia closes the doors. Tex Tutor, I didn't know that you were acquainted with Yardley. Linuxa, we're both professionals in our respective fields, and she makes me laugh. Tex Tutor, I can believe that. Now, a few minutes ago, you sent some of my men to the hospital. Trusted men. Linuxa, I don't like being searched, let alone condescended to. Tex Tutor, I know. That is why I gave them orders to let you through after only a perfunctory examination. Linuxa, they have insurance, don't they? Tex Tutor, that isn't the point. Linuxa, you know how this goes. If you don't get blood on your claws, then no one will know how sharp they are. Tex Tutor, yes, but they were my men. Unbribable, loyal. And Linuxa replies, alive. The two stare at each other a long moment. A silent accord of respect is reached. Tex tilts his head towards the closed doors. Fidelia opens it, and Yardley's voice slips out again. Yardley's Prynne off screen, as opposed to a voiceover, because she's out there, so it's an off screen. I think that's how it goes. Anyway, but on the other hand, there was a shiny set of brass knuckles. Linuxa slips out, unrepentant. Fidelia closes the door and looks to Tex. Fidelia, sir, I know you planned things out. Tex Tutor, no plan survives contact with reality. The unexpected always occurs, especially these days. It is better to consider all this to be the spice of life. The sound of taps flowing rises up from Tex's executive bathroom. Both Fidelia and Tex turn as a figure flows out. Idly flicking wet fingers dry. Fidelia pulls her gun on Nikara, an alien Venusian dressed up as a woman. Her still alien eyes stare out at the two. Soft-spoken, conversationally. That remains the most. Fidelia opens fire, hitting Nikara squarely in the chest 3 times. Blood splatters against the wall, along with a neat cluster of rounds that crack the plaster. Nikara coughs. Amazing thing. Nikara finishes wiping her hands with a towel, then tosses... she doesn't have a towel. Grabs a nearby towel, then tosses it against the blood. Pats her chest, then tosses it against the bloody wall where the cloth sticks to the viscera there. Fidelia, her viscera rises into her mouth as she takes aim at mouth. Takes aim. Tex halts her with a sharp gesture. Hold, someone wants to talk. The towel drops off the wall. Tex and Nikara began to build into a rapid fire conversation. Again, I'm telling the reader what I expect from this, rather than go back and forth. Someone wants to talk. I do. Who are you? The voice in your head. The white Venusian? The very same. How do I know you are who I say I am? That's a good question. What evidence will you accept? Text tutor. Good point. Text tutor considers her. In his eyes, a myriad of possibilities play out. Nikara, alien eyes widening. That's amazing. It's like watching paired alien talk, mate. Text tutor. Thank you. Let's skip ahead. 3 days ago, you dropped into my mind and asked me if you could help. No, I wondered if you were busy. Good. Tell me what you want out of this arrangement, or we do not walk through the door together. Nikara, my stepmother said to tell you that if you must have something, then if I must want something, then I should say that I want this to play out like a Gen X comedy for my own gratification. Text 2 to consider this. I already have Crazy on board. Nikara's eyes glow. Her voice resounds in the minds of Tudor and a very wary Fidelia. What I am isn't crazy. Tex stares into her eyes. Those shifted to something more human. He blinks. Fine, we'll move ahead for now. Nikara's smile is an enigma worthy of Leonardo da Vinci. Interior, conference room, day. The doors open. Lenixa and Yardley cease their quiet conversation and look over. Swift halts a subtle inspection of a dish of peanuts. No, not peanuts. Mixed nuts. It's better for the metaphor of, well, everything in this. So, Tex and Nikara enter, side by side. Tex tutor, allow me to introduce Nikara, the latest arrival. Over in the corner is Swift, the nemesis of the Bright, and the fastest guy alive. I said this was derived from fan fiction. The first lady in the chair is Lenixa, the nemesis of Qian Woman, the lady who looks a little like a clown, a harlequin. Yardley Pren. Nikara laughs free. I get it. I'm not the nemesis of the Moose Man, but that doesn't mean I don't try. Everyone, Nikara is the nemesis, not really close. What's that thing called? A synonym? Analog? Counterpart? Pen pal? Racial foe. Slightly uncomfortable. She's the one we were relying on to counter the Venus Vox. She's a telepath then, and shapeshifter. Behind Nikara's back, Tex gestures to Yardley, silently asking for fire. Ooh, I gotta see. Looks to Lenixa. Who should she be? You, of course. Yardley pointing to Nikara. Ooh, yeah, be me. Just like it's my birthday. Nikara smiles. Her features shift in a wholly unappetizing way, but the smile stays the same. Swift pushes the mixed nuts away. Nikara's clothing shifts and changes too. Then it is done, and a mirror of Yardley Prince stands there. Tex tutor, softly to himself. This can only end badly. Nikara as Yardley Prin. Do I have you right? Turn around so I can see the back. Nikara as Yardley 2 spins. Yardley 1 slips a canister of what could, in her hands, be silly string. Instead of a rush of flame erupts and wreaths Yardley 1's head. Yardley recoils, features running toward Venusian native form, towards her Venusian. Yardley Prin. Perfect. The flames burn out. Nikara hastily transforms back into her other beautiful self. A noticeable ash is left on her shoulders to be brushed away. Nikara steadies herself. Is that proof that I'm not the Venusian Vox? To her white Venusian form. Tex concedes the point. Stepmother said you might try that, but even so, Swift, Tudor, who will be the last to arrive? Tudor, an Atlantean sorcerer named Indril. Nikara, he'll be late. He was just intercepted by the Altman. The others stare. What, you didn't hear? Fidelia taps her earpiece. Fidelia into her radio. News. Status report. Metas. News. Status. Metas. The others shift about to find their balance once more. Alexa to Tex. A sorcerer? Swift largely to himself. Magic is unpredictable. Text tutor and costly. Nonetheless, it is required that he be here. Swift required. Text tutor as in I require it. Nakara stares off into the distance. Oh, he's now being held by special authorities not too far from here. Thalia lowers her hand from her earpiece and nods at Tex. Text tutor looks to the others. I want him here before they can interrogate him. Swift? Swift turns to Nakara. Can you send thoughts as well as receive? Yep. Yardley print. Ooh, try me. Intercut. Practical telepathy conversation. Banana. What? Banana, 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 banana. Why am I thirsty? Swift, subtly amused, steps over before Nakara. Show me the way. Nakara turns to face Swift and, amused by the monstrous appearance of his mask, touches his forehead. Telepathic details. A host of images sprawl of a secure holding facility of a gaunt man in recently tattered clothing. Recently torn. It's not tattered, it's torn. Recently torn clothing being forced into bright orange prisoner's garb. His glowing test pulsing in rhythm with the various glowing coils embedded in the walls. Other details plucked from the heads of the guards allow for a 3D representation of the detention center. Back to scene. Swift breaks from Nakara's touch. It is sufficient. Swift has gone into flash, the red lightning arcing in his wake. Linux said conversationally, so, a sorcerer, this must be important. Are we going to try to kill the Altman? Text tutor tries not to sputter a reply. Exterior, heavily fortified prison. Swift speeds inside a heavily fortified prison where the guards are as solid as the steel shackles that are applied to Indrel's ankles. Text tutor, voiceover. Because he's not there. Text tutor, my goal has not changed, though my aim has. Linux, the voiceover. Mr. Tutor, how is this different from last time? Text tutor, apparently he's susceptible to magic. Swift quantum tunnels through walls faster than the guards can react. Yardley print, ooh, I've got a magic trick to show him. Swift emerges with himself containing Indrel, the sorcerer, an Atlantean barely passing for human. An intricate swath of tattoos pokes from beneath his bright orange jumpsuit as he is escorted toward a vault-like cell. Swift knocks out two guards in a flash. Indrel, despised, blinks hard. Then he hopefully indicates the... Then he hopefully smiles. Tex rubs at his forehead. Lenixa makes a few quick hand gestures towards Yardley, trying to figure out which particular trick she was talking about. Yardley's nonverbal reply is confusing. So we have a little bit back and forth. Nakara tries to figure out what a stapler does. Yardley print, inspiration. Hey, what about the green torch? Who have you got to counter his parts? Looks at the others. You know, the guy with the magic earring that makes giant monkeys with bongos? Pauses. Has everyone forgotten about him? Text 2 to the green torch is away at present, bringing his version of justice to some other planet or one hopes another dimension entirely. Either way, he is not presently a consideration. Red Lightning rips back into the room and then out again, leaving Indrel, still clad in his orange prisoner's jumpsuit and holding a set of now empty manacles, standing in confusion. Indrel blinks hard, confused. Hello? Later, Indrel drinks down an entire glass of water, even as he slips out of his bright orange prison jumpsuit. His muscular body is replete with powerful glowing tattoos. He's all glowy. Can we keep him? Tex definitely ignores Yardley's suggestion. Fidelia tosses the nearly naked man a t-shirt and loose pants. Linux likes the new view, discreetly, of course. Indrel, as he changes. I am Indrel Chevalier, keeper of magics and arcanum, fivefold sorcerer and master of my arts. Indrel slips into a wholly inappropriate t-shirt, and I leave it to the director to figure out what is inappropriate. Well, the actor will have some thoughts on it too. Tex raises an eyebrow towards Fidelia. We don't have a gift shop anymore. Tex, annoying memories, indeed. Tex turns to Indrel. We are all glad that you are here now, master of the arts. Indrel, you have seen me at my worst, so please call me Indrel. Where's the man I must thank? Swift returns in a blur of red lightning. Red lightning. Thank you, my friend. Heads for a corner. Let's not overdo it. Tex tutor to Swift. I trust you covered your tracks? Swift leans against the wall confidently. Indrel leads them to the discussion and takes the seat that is directly before the metallic cube. At his touch, it begins to pulse. Yardley Prince slips in behind him and peers over his shoulder at the glowing network of arcane energies. So how does that... Indrel startles but quickly regains his control. Kindly let me work, woman of Dark depths. Yardley chuckles mischievously as she withdraws. The cube flares to life, and the image of Black Eel, clad in heavy armor with a fearsome full-face helmet, appears. Lenexa, how does he see through that thing? Black Eel, with reverb, very well. His hearing is pretty good, too. Nearby, Nikara looks over. Her eyes glow slightly. Tex breaks off a largely one-sided conversation with Swift and steps before the image of Black Eel. Your sorcerer has arrived, Black Eel. I see. Tell me, Indril, did your disguise hold together? Indril, no, Great One. My approach was detected. The Redonian plucked me from the multitude. Tex Tutor, he does that. Black Eel, is he alerted then? Tex Tutor, no more so than usual. Speed is our ally here, and we have plenty of it. Black Eel turns to regard both Lenexa and Swift. Eel tenders over a nod and receives a smile from Lenexa and indifference from Swift. Then Black Eel regards Nikara. You, I do not know. I know. Your name. Call me Nikara. Everyone else in the room does. Yardley Prim barks a laugh. It's funny, because it's true. Black Eel turns from Nikara to Tex. Tutor? Pointedly turns. Okay. Tex Tutor, I can't exactly vouch for her, but she is a shape-shifting telepathic Venusian, or else she's very good at pretending to be that. Black Eel turns to Indril. Indril, you act in my name. Trust no one. Black Eel's image fades out. Indril suppresses a sigh of relief as the cube stops glowing. Nikara, so, what now? Lunch? At the head of the table, Tex Tutor sits down and steeples his fingers before him. I do not head directly to lunch, because that will come later. Tex Tutor sits down and steeples his fingers before him. Gentlemen and ladies, I have brought you here to destroy the Altman. Lenexa lets out a sigh and checks her watch. This will not be easy. He can... Yardley printed. Get Redonite. Everyone nods at the idea. Nikara, after a moment's pause. Everyone, Nikara, everyone but Nikara knows. Nikara does so. So after a moment's pause. That has been tried, often. Has he built up an immunity? No, but the moment I get my hands on so much as a sliver of Vandonia's finest, some troglodyte in tights swoops down and steals it from me. So you want to use magic this time? Yeah, he's mortal to that. Nikara, but you don't know enough about magic to use it yourself, strike and deal with Black Eel to secure a sorcerer and steal some kind of artifact. Lenexa picks up at the mention of an artifact. Tex Tutor, stop reading my mind. Lenexa, it's an interesting plan, but won't the Altman and friends realize? Tex runs his fingers atop the armrest of his seat. Tex Tutor, you know, I had a good speech arranged, lots of bullet points, but forget that. We're going to use magic, and yes, there is an artifact involved. Obtaining it will require distractions in order to secure it without being seen to secure it. And let's emphasize that just a little. Yeah, let's plan a heist. I love heists. This one time, Mr. Ray and I drove a bulldozer painted all red like a big clown nose through the walls of a creamery. No one says a word. Did you know that creameries look almost exactly like banks from the outside? I didn't then, believe me. Tex Tutor steadies himself. Let's break into pairs and discuss an outline. Yardley blows out and pops her gun expertly. Tex Tutor, I will speak with you each in turn. Lenexa? Tutor and Lenexa move off to one side of the room. Fidelia remains near Yardley. Yardley Prin to Nikara. Do you know where I can rent a bulldozer by the hour? That should be Fidelia. Alright, in the corner, Indril approaches Swift. I must again thank you for your timely intervention. Failure is rarely rewarded, Swift. What I did was for my own ends, Indril. That is how it should be. Thankfully, it appears that our purposes are aligned at present. Tell me, I can sense no magic from you. Your speed is entirely Swift myself. And no, I will not explain my origin. If I tried, we would be here the rest of the day. Across the room, Tex and Lenexa consult. Tex reveals an image of a rare artifact of bronze. Early Mesopotamia, Babylonian, or Chaldean, if I had to guess. The bronze work is impressive. What is it supposed to do? Tex Tutor, that's a bit tricky. It's called the Serpent of the Styx by the Greek writer Xenophon, and is said to have strangled 1,000 men. But even if it makes waffles, Black Eel has indicated that he'd be willing to trade something I want for it. Lenexa, so we're dealing with old magics. Tex Tutor, the artifact need not be powerful, merely of the correct age. I want you to take point on this part of things. No one is more knowledgeable. Flatterer. Consult with Indril next, please. Center of the room. Tex heads over to Yartley Prin and Nikara. Yartley has drawn with crayons a myriad of balloons onto a big sheet of paper. She pops a small bubble of gum as she presents her artistry. Balloons! Yes, I see. Now, then, what sort of... Nikara wanders away. Yartley Prin. Thousands of balloons! Release them above the city with just enough gas for them to drop their little packages all over. See? They've all got firecrackers on their strings. When they blow up, alarms go off. Text tutor all over the city. Many colorful Yartley-like distractions. If we can get that many balloons released without them being swept from the sky in the middle of the room. Nikara, eyes aglow, intercepts Lenixa. Behind them, while talking to Tex, Yartley sticks her old gum under the conference table and starts on a new wad. Nikara, I overheard you. While talking to Yartley? That's quite a feat. I'm a people person. Nikara's eyes grow brighter. Her voice shifts, the intonation and structure resembling that of a professor. The book you should be referencing is Xenofu's Waters of the Tigris. I've never heard of it. According to someone who is thinking about it right now, the first editions may not exist anymore. The Serpent of the Styx was designed to be an autonomous construct intended to drag ships down to an untimely demise. It sounds too big to pocket. Nikara, what you are looking for is a mention of the Maker's model. The larger design was never completed. Lenixa, assuming this is all true, what's the value in the artifact other than an aquarium toy? The Serpent is made of living copper that maintains a metal memory, and this particular artifact has been around for thousands of years. But why tell me this? Why not go to Tex? Nikara, I want you and Indral to have something to talk about. Lenixa stares at Nikara, then over to where Nento and Swift are deep in conversation. Lenixa, I don't know you, but you certainly are interesting. Okay, now, I could expand this out where Lenixa has to go and talk with a professor or some other acquirer of artifacts, but I think it's unnecessary for the flow, and I'm gonna remember it, but I'm gonna move on. If they say, well, we need more padding, then I'll be like, I want to suggest this scene, and we'll send two of them over to do the thing. Lenixa steps over to the sorcerer and ignores Swift. Hello, Indral. Indral looks at her into her bright and powerful eyes like a deer in headlights. Beside her, Swift might as well be invisible. Hello, Lenixa. What do you know about the Serpent of the Styx? Swift looks from Lenixa to Indral and back again. Only what I have been told. Me too. Swift, totally ignored by the pair, steps away. Nikara is right there, in the middle of the room. Swift to Nikara. I see you. Behind Nikara, Yartley and Tex hammer out the technical details of the balloon barrage. Nikara's eyes cease to glow. We all talk too much. I know, I like it. I don't feel you rummaging around in my head. Stepmother said to be polite when possible. Stepmother? We all talk too much, but sometimes the silence is too much. Silence is too much. Swift, impressed. You nearly have it right. By the table, Tex clears his throat. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our distraction. Beside him, Yartley holds up her crayon. As you notice, we bounced around from a lot of different conversations, but we're going to settle down back to the group and back to the original flow. This should be kind of rapid fire. We give we move things along, and the audience gets an idea of where we're headed. Yartley holds up her crayon drawing of the balloons. Text tutor, 10,000 balloons released amid the May celebrations, each with a concussive charge worked into the weight at the end. Into a weight at the end that will detonate when it comes into contact with the ground. All we have to do is let them go up and then wait for them to pop. Yartley blows a bubble of gum, but this time it doesn't burst. Instead, it stays wholly inflated. Undeterred, she breathes in through her nose and gives it another breath. But it just expands a little more. Tex tutor turns from Yartley. Yes, anyway. From Yartley's bubble. We'll position sharpshooters with pellet guns around the city disguised as vermin eradicators. They will pop the balloons over key. Yartley blows into the bubble yet again. It enlarges and still does not pop. Moreover, it waggles up as if it wants to float towards the ceiling. Over key, Tex tutor trying to continue, over key buildings that everyone stares at Yartley. Yartley's eyes are wide with disbelief as she continues to huff and puff. Yartley Brent muffles out the side of her mouth. This is a big one. Tex tutor, Yartley, is this some kind of special ability? Lenixa, kind of. My guess is that she accidentally chewed the wrong gum. Alright, so Yartley's eyes widen. Swift lets out a little chuckle as the bubble inflates seemingly out of its own accord, gently bobbing in the air. The Tex tutor backs away from the bubble. It is lighter than air. What, like filled with helium? What, like filled with helium? Swift waits patiently, though he blurs at the blurbs of the edge. Indral, hydrogen. Everyone but Swift backs away, though Yartley can't really go far. Yartley Yardley's gaze turns from wonder to determination. With a giggle, she pulls out a knife and guts the bubble. It erupts messily. At the doorway, Fidelia turns on the comfort room's fans to full roaring power. Full roaring power. Full roaring power. Nothing explodes. Yardley begins to remove the bubblegum. Hydrogen is sucked out. Nothing explodes. Yardley begins to remove the bubblegum. I can have something explode in the distance, but I don't think it's necessary. Yardley begins to remove the bubblegum, which peels off surprisingly easily. Yardley pregnant. That was a pretty big bubble. Text tutor. Why don't we all take a 5-minute break? Okay. I'm well over my time here, and that's going to be it for this episode. We are into it. We've got the plan is in place. We know what they're going to do. The characters are all, or pretty much all, in play. And now it's just a matter of them bouncing off each other like a Gen X comedy to give us our amusement and to move the story along. I hope you have enjoyed this particular episode of Alan Revises. I hope you're staying safe out there and that you have a good day. Thanks.